The winter that Mira turned 23, the river froze so hard that even the crows stopped calling. She found the stranger half buried in snow behind her father's barn, his coat torn, his lips blue, one hand still clutching a broken lantern as though light itself might save him. She did not know his name, she did not ask, she only knew that if she left him there, he would be dead before the sun rose again, and she could not carry that kind of silence for the rest of her life. She dragged him inside, wrapped him in the last good blanket her mother had woven before she died, and sat awake feeding the fire until his shivering stopped. When he finally opened his eyes, he looked at her the way a man looks at someone he does not yet understand he will love. He said only one word, "Thank you." She nodded and went to make broth. His name was Andres, and he told her he was a traveler, a man with no roof and no family, passing through on his way to nowhere in particular. Myra's father, a proud but tired farmer drowning in debts that grew heavier every season, saw in this quiet stranger a chance to save his daughter from a worse fate, an arranged marriage to a cruel merchant twice her age. "Marry him," her father said, "if only to have a husband who will not raise his hand against you. Give him shelter, and let him give you a name." Myra did not marry Andres for love. She married him out of mercy, out of practicality, out of a desperate wish to escape one danger by walking calmly into an unknown one. Their wedding was small, held in the kitchen where she had once nursed him back from the edge of death. Andres wore borrowed clothes. Myra wore her mother's dress, taken in at the waist. Neither of them smiled, not because they were unhappy, but because both understood this was survival dressed up as a ceremony. That night, Andres told her gently she owed him nothing, that she was free to keep her heart closed if she wished, and something in his voice, careful and unwilling to claim more than she offered, they made her wonder if she had misjudged him. Spring came, and with it came men on horses, dressed in fine wool, bowing before Andres in the middle of the market square. Mira watched, frozen, as the mayor himself addressed her husband as Lord Andres Stalin, heir to the Northern Territories, master of the very land her father's farm sat upon. The truth unraveled slowly, painfully. Andres had been fleeing his own family, his own inheritance, a war of succession that had already claimed his older brother's life. He had wanted, for once, to be nothing. No name, no crown, no burden. He had wanted someone to save him simply because he was a man freezing in the snow, not because he was a lord worth ransom. Myra felt betrayed and foolish in equal measure. She had married a beggar to protect her family, and instead she had bound herself to a man whose enemies would burn her father's farm to the ground without blinking. She confronted him quietly with all the fury of someone who had given kindness freely and feared it had been stolen from her. Andres did not defend himself. He only said that the moment he saw her carrying him through the snow, he understood that whatever crown waited for him, whatever war he was born into, he wanted a wife who did not know his worth in gold, only his worth in breath and blood. The war found them anyway, as wars always do. Andres's cousin, hungry for the territory, sent riders to end the bloodline before it could take root again. Myra, who had never held a sword, stood at the gate of the manor with a kitchen knife and her father's old hunting rifle, and told the soldiers that they would have to go through her first. It was not bravery born of love alone. It was the same instinct that had pulled a dying stranger out of the snow, the refusal to let cruelty win simply because it was easier to look away. They survived that night because the household staff, who had grown to adore their quiet, unassuming lady, rallied behind her without being asked. When the dust settled and the territory was finally secured, Andres knelt before Mira in front of the entire court, not as a lord to a subject, but as a man who owed his life twice over to a woman who had never once asked what he could give her, only what he needed. Years later, when their own children asked how their parents met, Myra would smile and say she found their father freezing behind a barn and gave him a blanket because it was the right thing to do. She never mentioned the territories first. She always said the blanket came before the crown, because in her heart, that was the only order that ever mattered, and no title, however grand, could ever rewrite the truth of how to frightened, broken people had chosen, on the coldest night either of them had known, to save each other simply because it was the kind thing to do.